Well, the first action tool that I would recommend would be to do a SWOT analysis. And a SWOT analysis is a strategic tool, and that stands for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So there's various types of strategic planning. There's competitive advantage. There's situational strategies. That's internal and external strategies.
Welcome to Vibrant Publishers podcast, where we interview experts in various fields to share their insights and knowledge with our listeners. Today, we have the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Denean Robinson back for a third episode with her. Dr. Denean is an experienced professional with a passion for education and leadership. She has developed and facilitated courses and seminars in various fields, including marketing, human resource development, organizational development, change management, and also owns a consulting company in Montgomery County entitled Strategic Creations. Dr. Deneen, welcome back.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Great. So, our topic for today is strategic management, and I would like to begin by asking you to explain to the audience what the topic is, what are the types of strategic management, what are the processes involved in it.
Yes. Well, strategic management is a process, and it's a process that starts with the senior leadership and trickles down to the last person who has to even clock in to work. So, strategic management process is full of commitments, it's full of decisions, and is an actions that a organization takes to have strategic competitiveness and also have an edge. And so, in today's economy, in today's world, you must have a strategic competitiveness to be able to formulate and implement a value creating strategy. And that's very important. So there's various types of strategic planning. There's competitive advantage. There's situational strategies. That's internal and external strategies. And so example of internal strategies would be creating hiring competitiveness, hiring DEI strategies, and DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Also making sure that the policies and processes is up to date to meet the standards and regulations, and is also agreed by the corporate governance and the ownership of that organization. Then we have external competitiveness, which means that you have to make sure that you meet the customer needs and demands. You have to also look at building partnerships and relationships with federal and state agencies. And if your organization is situated in a community, that means that you have to build relationships with the leaders in the community so that it will be a win-win situation for all that is correlated to the success of that organization.
Right, got it. And how can startups develop effective strategies even with limited resources and experience that they might have?
Well, the first action tool that I would recommend would be to do a SWOT analysis. And a SWOT analysis is a strategic tool, and that stands for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So the strengths is that you need to identify in each category what are your strengths, what are you known for. That can be your brand, that can be your loyalty to your customers, that can be your location, that can be your ability to expand on your diversification portfolio. Your weakness is really what the company has to identify. And that can be, again, internally or externally. It could be that you're not hiring the appropriate individuals to help you be innovative and creative and help you maintain sustainability and credibility in that industry. Also, it can be where you're located, that you're not able to distribute or get your products or goods and services into the hand of your customers quickly. Also, a weakness can be your financial stability. So you need to look at your financial statements, your income, and your balance sheets. And what I always suggest is, since we just came out of a worldwide health pandemic, I always tell senior leaders that you need to look at your financial statements from 2018 and 2019, and then 2023. 2020 and between 2020 and 2022 was the height of the COVID-19 health pandemic. So everyone numbers were just like a roller coaster, go up and down because of the economy and because of the situation that we all just came through.
Right. Correct. Thank you for sharing that. Now let's talk about the hot trending topic, which is artificial intelligence and how it is reshaping the business, develop and implement their strategies.
Artificial intelligence, companies have to be careful because artificial intelligence is a great tool. It allows you to get rapid information and to get hands-on knowledge quickly. But companies have to have policies, and they have to work with their human resource managers to make sure that individual rights are not violated based on AI. So as long as companies understand that they have to have policies and procedures of how the company is going to handle AI, I believe that AI is going to change the way that is going to bring people together, and especially it's going to eliminate when we're talking about social class and economics, because everyone's going to have an opportunity to get their hand on this knowledge. But it has to be used in an ethical manner. I just read an article earlier today, which the Vice President, Ms. Harris, or Vice President Harris, is indicating that she is going to be working with Congress to make sure that if we use AI in this country, that it doesn't violate people's personal rights in their constitution. So again, it's going to be up to the leaders to work with their human resource department to make sure that it is used in an ethical manner.
Well, and do you think it will help in transforming key and strategic decision-making areas?
Yes, because AI will allow us to be able to get our hand on data quickly. And based on that data, if you have the capability of having the resources of individuals that work in your organization who can understand what those numbers mean and how it correlates to the bottom line, then they can help the decision makers in those organizations make quick and make what I call calculated risk decisions.
Well, and talking about the future of strategic management and planning, I would like to discuss a few points about remote or hybrid work that we've been seeing has been increasing these days. What are some of the challenges and opportunities of developing and implementing strategies in such environment?
Well, one of the things that a organization has to do is to create what we call a work from home contract. It basically indicates that the time that that individual has to be on and be conducting work. If they're using any type of databases, they have to make sure that they are using databases or electronics at home that are secured, and that they are logging on and logging off properly. They have to make sure that they are providing a secure place where they can implement and work, so that people's personal data and personal information from the organization will be secured and safe. They also have to make sure that they check in, because a part of a leader in strategical planning is to make sure that they appreciate and that they have to check on the mental status of their workers. So when you are talking about an individual that is going to be conducting their work remotely, sometimes they feel like they're in their own silo or silo, that they're isolated from the rest of their colleagues, and that they feel like they're not part of the organization. So leaders have to make sure that they check in with their workers, especially those who work just completely remotely. They have to make sure that they still are offering them the support and resources needed for them to be productive. As we all learn when we've gone through COVID-19, that mental health is a rising topic. And now that we have talked about it and we've seen celebrities talk about it, we've seen even the president talk about it, is no longer a taboo. And so companies have to make sure that if they have workers that just work remotely, that they make sure that they let them know about the resources and supports that they have. But every organization must have a contract with those workers to let them know what their expectations and standards are, even though they're not be working in their actual brick and mortar building.
Got it. And talking about data, how can businesses use data analytics to gain insights into their markets, competitors, and customers to create a strategic plan?
Well, one of the ways that we talk about is Porter's. Porter has a force model, okay? And basically he talks about competitive advantage. He talks about the threats. And so by using AI and using data analytics software, the organizations can make sure that they stay abreast of what their competitors are doing. A good organization always knows what their competitor is doing. So they're always keeping an eye on what they're doing to see if they need to innovate or create another product, goods, or services that is similar to theirs so that they can stay competitive. They also can use those data analysis to see any types of threats or predict or forecast any type of threats that is going to come down the line based on their industry. And that could be, for example, if I was a medical organization, we all know that there's shortage of nurses and there's shortage of doctors. So if I was an organization that was a medical facility or just associated myself around medicine, I would make sure one of the strengths or opportunities that I say that I would try to do was that I would have a partnership or a mentorship or internship program with high school students or with college students who want to go into the medical field. And so that's one way to reach out and to obtain a partnership with local schools and colleges. So that's an example. So you have to use strategic management to be able to forecast and to be able to put together a contingency plan of what your company needs to do step by step. Basically, what a strategic plan allows you to do is to create a needs assessment. And a needs assessment basically identifies, it's like taking a camera out and taking a snapshot of where the company or organization is in real time, and then trying to have a picture of where you want your company to be. So, for example, if we were talking about just you and I, say, for example, we want to buy a house. Okay, so right now, I would take a snapshot of what my financial, my credit records are. I would try to take a snapshot of how much money do I have coming in the house, how much are my bills, how much can I save, how much do I need to save. And so those are what we call our steps, our contingency, or gap analysis. So our gap analysis is being able to identify each step that we need to take to be able to get to our future state, which is how we see our company be sustainable for the future. And so that's what strategic planning does. It allows you to look at a comprehensive view of where your company is in real lifetime based on the time period as of that particular time frame and what you need to do to be able to get to a better state.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now,
Sure.
considering inclusivity and also considering all the levels of all the levels in an organization, how do you think companies can effectively communicate and implement strategic plans across all levels of the organization so that everyone feels involved?
Well, strategic management consists of three parts that make up an organization. The first part is the individual. That means that they have to do their due diligence up front to make sure that they are hiring the right individuals. So that means that they need to make sure that they are putting themselves in a position to be creative and innovative and be successful. So they have to know what are the criterias that individuals that work in their organization must possess to be able to be competitive and help them have or receive a above return average, because a company opens their door so that they can have a return on their investment. And so it starts with making sure that you advertising your vacancies and positions in various locations so that you are getting a good amount of individuals who are above average individuals, and you're just not looking for someone that's just going to have the max or minimum requirements. So that starts with the individual. And then once that individual is hired, you have to make sure that this particular person continues to grow. We call it a lifelong learner. So it's up to the organization to make sure that they have professional development. They have to make sure that they invest. They also have to offer competitive salary. If your company wants to be have a high industry position and have market share, that means that you have to make sure that you pay for the high quality of individuals that's going to help you get there. The second part is you want to make sure that you have your employees work as a team, and that's very important because best practices has indicated that when we work as a team, we're bringing a wealth of knowledge together, and also it's going to mirror what society wants. So if you have people with different nationalities, different sex, different religion, different education, different social, different educational backgrounds coming together to complete a project or to solve a problem, you're going to have a multi-diverse type of well-rounded outcome, and that's what you want. Okay, the last part is the organization itself. And so the organization has to make sure that they have leaders that are transformational or leaders that are servant leaders, that leaders that put others' needs and the needs of society and their employees in front of their personal need. Because any good leader knows that if you can help individuals reach their maximum potential, then the organization is going to be successful. Again, you always want to think, when you're talking about strategic management, you want to think a win-win situation. What must I do as a leader, or what must I do as an organization to put everyone that's going to be associated with the strategy in a win-win situation? And so it also starts with making sure that you hold everybody accountable for his or her action, that you upgrade your technology so you can stay in tune with what society wants, and that you can always crunch your numbers and always do data analysis. And then also you want to make sure that you continue to push the envelope. That means that you want to partner with various different types of organizations that you can expand on your mission and vision and your core competencies. You want to make sure that you have policies and procedures that allow people to be successful, but be successful in an equitable and fair environment.
Right, correct. And how do you think, or what tips would you like to give to companies so that they can measure the effectiveness of this planning, strategic planning?
Once you have created a goals and you've created objectives, they have to tie into the core competencies. They have to tie into the mission and vision of the organization. And so every time that you create an activity or an initiative inside the organization, it must be measurable. And so you have to, as a leader and as a corporate governance, come up with what type of metrics can we create that can show where we are. And companies have to do what we call formative evaluation. They constantly have to be evaluating where they are. They have to have milestones that they meet. They have to have an action plan, which will allow them to constantly review and assess their progress. Too many companies wait to the end, what we call summative evaluation. And when they evaluate it at the end, they run out of time to try to revise or try to improvise, and it's too late.
That's right. So you suggest having a monthly or a fortnight evaluation?
I personally, because of the state of the economy that we're looking at, and because this is an election year, in election years, usually the economy is unstable. The organizations and leaders are kind of conservative about where they're going to spend money because they don't know who is going to be the next president of the United States. Plus, we are in war. And so those are all effects of not just us coming out of a major pandemic, but those are the effects of the economy right now. And we all know that when we are any type of war, it causes the economy to not be stable. So what I highly suggest is that companies need to think, they need to act, and they need to keep their ears on the ground, to the ground. Basically, what that means is that they have to make sure that they understand, based on the industry that they're in, what has to be their minimum and maximum level of productivity for them to be around and to be sustainable. And so right now you want to lead effectively and efficiently by making sure that you understand what you do better and what you do best than anybody else in that industry. And so sometimes when it's an economy like this, you might not be able to expand on your portfolio, but what you want to do is you want to have your money, and you want to make sure that you continue to do what you do well.
Right. So for our listeners who might be feeling overwhelmed by strategic management, what's one actionable tip that you can offer to help them get started at least?
One, know who your competitors are, know what are the maximum requirements and standards for you to be successful in operating in that industry. So what I would do is do my homework. I would do research to understand, one, what is the cost that's associated with starting your business in that particular industry. Also, you want to make sure that when you talk about your finance, that you want to have enough finance for at least the first 5 years, because we all know that it will take you to year 3 before you even start to break even. So you won't even start to see any type of profit into the 4th year. And so most startup companies fail within the first 4 years because they don't plan for financial stability. And so that is something that I would extremely just have them just do research and make sure that one, that they have the financial stability and financial resources to be able to open or to start their company. Make sure who are their competitors, where are their nearest competitors located based on where or what they're trying to do or trying to accomplish. Will you have the amount of people that you need based on the location of your organization to be able to support you? And do you have the capability to market? Because we all know that social media is one of the most important market now in getting the word out. So being marketable and being able to be financial stable for the first 5 years, those are the 2 elements that I would look closely before I think about doing my startup. Because right now, it is very because the economy is unstable right now. That is something that I would truly want to evaluate to make sure that you have people in your location that have the capability to financially be able to support your company.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Denean, for taking the time out and joining us today and sharing your valuable insights with us.
It is a pleasure. And one thing I want to leave the audience with is that strategic management is an action, and it starts with senior leaders. Senior leaders have to have a mission, they have to have a vision, and they have to be change agents, and they have to be constantly working and constantly evaluating their internal and external situations in their organizations. And a manager must be proactive instead of reactive.
Well, well, thank you for sharing that as well. I'm sure the audience has found the podcast really insightful, and we'll be adding Dr. Denean social media profiles down below or her LinkedIn as well. So, well, thank you so much for joining us and tuning into the podcast.
You're welcome. Everyone have a great day. Be safe.